All right. Well, welcome everybody to Tuesday night's training call with Tom and myself, Dylan. We're very excited, obviously, to have you here on Tuesday night, and of course, we're even more excited that we've got this amazing platform that we're using to do our presentations now. So, with that, folks, we're going to give it about another minute or so. If you can actually just type in the chat box, let us know that we're live over there for us. You guys can see us live, and if you can hear us just loud and clear, I know that you probably can. But just let us know that we're good to go, that we're live over there on the live screen, and we'll get started here in just a minute or so. Hope everybody's having a great week, and we're definitely excited, obviously, to share some information with you this evening to help you get started, get get a website, how to create your own website, all of that great stuff. So Tom's actually going to do the screen share tonight. He's actually going to do the presentation as well. We'll toss it back and forth as we always do, but again, very excited, obviously, to have you here as well. So, all right, so we've got some chats coming in now that we're good to go. Great. Well, welcome everybody again to the training call tonight. We're very, very excited, obviously, to be able to go through some information with you to really help you along on getting your own website set up. That's one of the things that Dwayne and Dwayne Jr. were talking about the other day, as far as to get a website set up so that you could use that for whether or not you're going to use the service, Chat and Serve to make some additional money there, because there's definitely an opportunity with that service, but also for branding yourself in other ways. There's many different ways that you can obviously use a website. There's many different benefits to having a website as well. So with that, Tom, I can see your screen just fine, my friend. So if you want to go ahead, Tom's going to go ahead and pull this up here, and you go ahead and take it away, my friend.
Hey everybody, just real quick, just want to make sure that you can hear me as well, since I was muted out earlier. Just type in a number 2 if you can hear me okay, and then we'll get started. Dylan, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear, my friend.
All right, so just watch the comments. We'll assume that they can hear me just fine as well, and if not, let me know. But like Dwayne Jr. and Dwayne Sr., they were doing the trainings on how to set up and sell Chat and Serve, and we did it's been a while, but we did do a training a long time ago on how to set up a website, basically using your hosting and everything from Ingresso Cybernetico. But we thought we'd do it again just so it's fresh in everybody's mind. We can take some live questions here as well, and really just help you guys get going if you want to build a site. And it could, like Dylan said, it can be for branding, or it can be like to sell Chat and Serve. Okay, so what I've already pulled up, we're not going to go over how to do it in your back office, because that hasn't changed. As far as setting up your domain name and setting up the hosting account, right? You can see the other training for that. I want to spend more time on just getting the website going, that part of the deal, right? So let's assume that you've already done that. If you don't know how to do it, find our old training video, okay? And Dylan, if you know where it's at, maybe you could post it in chat sometimes before we're done tonight, okay? But anyways, you got cPanel login. That's where you're going to log into your account. So the site that we're using tonight, it's actually a live site. The only thing I use this for is just for training you guys, all right? So it's $200checks.com, and to get there, you would just type, so whatever yours is, it'd be yourdomainname.com / and then cPanel, C-P-A-N-E-L, right? So if you want to log into there, it'll pull it up and it looks like this. Maybe you guys have been back to one of these before. Has anybody not ever been back to a cPanel before? Type in a number 3 if you've never seen the back office of the cPanel for a hosting account before. I know there's a little bit of delay, so we'll go on and pause for answers here in just a second. But
yeah,
okay, let me know. But anyways, this is kind of what it looks like, and what you can go back here and do. Let's I guess I could show them installing WordPress again, because I'll just do it on a subdomain real quick, right? So let's look at subdomains. I've already set up the main account, right? So let's type in, say this was a generic name instead of $200checks.com. I probably wouldn't really use that for anything else, but let's just type in chat for the subdomain, right? And then click create.
Now, Tom, real quick, we're waiting for that to come up. We've actually got a lot of people that have not been in the cPanel before, so let's make sure that we kind of give them exactly everything that they need to really dive into this for themselves, because a lot of them have not ever accessed a cPanel.
Right, right. Well, like I said, we covered a lot of that before, but we didn't get into going into too fancy a theme type stuff and really getting into the looks of it. So that's why I want to cover more of that this time, but we'll cover it real quick and definitely want you to go back and watch the old training as well. Okay, so now it's created the subdomain, as you see, chat.200checks.com is its own website in itself. So once that's done, I just want to go back to home for right now. And just to give you an idea, a little tour, I mean, obviously you can, once you do this on yours, you can go back here and kind of explore. Some of the stuff you want to be careful of is getting in where you can start changing files and things like that, because I'm pretty experienced. I launched all my websites at once one time, and I had to get the hosting company to fix that for me. So it's definitely a possibility. But right here in the domains part, you're safe in there. You can create a subdomain, do an add-on domain, create a redirect, things like that. So you don't have to worry about messing anything up in there. A lot of these you can set an email up in too. So if you wanted your own email, yeah, you could go like under email accounts. Each one's a little bit different, but you can set up an email account in here, right? Say I wanted to email, I don't know, let's say my name was Fred, and I wanted it Fred at $200checks.com, and I can pick up a password.
Now, just to be clear, folks, for those of you that are watching here, Tom is actually setting up just an email account. That's not really related to setting up a website, but it is in some respects, because you do want to have a website or an email address related to that website. But he's just kind of going through the steps here to show you all that process. But it's very important that obviously you do have an email as far as branding. Like if you're going to actually set up, let's say, $200checks.com. You would want to have maybe an admin at $200checks.com, maybe a support at $200checks.com, and you can actually forward those into one inbox so that way everything's very easy to manage. There's many different ways to set it up and do that, but it's not necessary to have a website to do that part of it, but we highly recommend it. So.
Yeah, so say you were setting your site up for branding, or you were going to set up to sell chat and serve, it would be good to have your own personal email, right? And honestly, you guys, you can manage those right through a Gmail account. You can go into add accounts. If you don't know how to do that, just Google it. There'll be a video to show you how to do it, I'm sure. But you just add your accounts. It'll send like a test email. Once you get it, you click on the link. It's synced up. You can do everything right from the backside of your Gmail account. Send and receive email as whatever account you set up back here from your hosting. It's really handy to do it that way. And the reason I'm showing you that, just like Dylan said, it's for branding purposes. You know, it's a lot more professional if you're going to go out and sell something. And we're kind of going on the theme of chat and serve tonight, so let's just stick with that, right? So you're selling not chat and serve itself, but you're selling the chat service. You know, your goal is to make an extra $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month selling that to a couple different companies, and you want to have whatever your domain name is. You know, just like Dylan said, it could be an admin or sales or something and then your domain name, and it's a lot more professional for them to email you back and forth at that email than, you know, twistedsister@gmail.com, or, you know, there's been some crazy names out there I've seen on resumes when I was hiring people before and stuff. So you want something that sounds kind of professional. That's what I'm saying. But anyway, so that's how we showed you so far how to add a subdomain really quick. We showed you how to set up an email really quick. Now we're going to show you how to go ahead and install WordPress, because that's probably the most common site, and that's what Junior was talking about setting up. His example that he used was about a $35, $45 theme that he bought from themeforest.net and installed it. That was a WordPress site. So let's go down and use Quick Install.
And that's really, you know, and I've told people before, and we'll get back to the cPanel again here in just a minute, but before you move on here, Tom, you know, I've told people in the past, especially with our last trainings, is that don't get intimidated by the cPanel. The cPanel has a lot of places to click, a lot of menus. There's only about 3 or 4 different places that you're actually going to use, and we'll obviously, I think you'll identify those as we get finished here, but we'll go back and cover that at the very end here so that you all know, and you may want to write these down, because again, like Tom said, if you click on something and you change something in an area that you shouldn't be in, you could definitely mess up your websites, and once you get everything done and established, that's the worst thing you want to do. Even though there's backups and things, you still don't want to mess with that. You know, we'll show you the ways, the areas to actually manage your website. And quite honestly, once you get WordPress set up, you don't ever really have to go back into your cPanel after that. And I know Tom's going to talk about that. So.
Oh, absolutely. And excuse me. And just to be clear, too, guys, the URL I'm using, $200checks.com, that means nothing. So don't let that part confuse you or nothing. It is a totally live site. There's no affiliate links or anything on it because I use it specifically for training, and that was just some name we picked out of the hat there. But anyway, so we're on Quick Install, and the reason I did a subdomain for this is just because I've already installed it. I didn't feel like taking it off of the main domain here. So whatever your main domain name is, if you're doing this the first time, you wouldn't already have it there. You wouldn't have to do it on a subdomain. I'm just showing you that for example purposes, all right? So anyways, when you're at Quick Install, just click on WordPress. And then it's going to say you can blah, blah, blah. You know, it says WordPress is web software you can use to create a beautiful website or blog, okay? And it's free and priceless at the same time. So you just hit continue. And then you can pick over here what you want to install it on. So it gives me the options. I was testing the forwarding before, so that's why I set up that subdomain. The one we're going to use, for example, tonight is chat.200checks.com. That's where we're going to install this website, okay? And then you want to pick the admin email, enable auto upgrades. Yes, I usually do that. Admin user, first name, last name. So, I mean, we can put in, I guess it doesn't really matter here, so.
So while you're filling out that out, Tom, you know, Tom's put. No, that's fine. Tom's putting the admin email in there, the blog title. It can be anything really related to. You want to keep it related to what the topic of your website is, because if any of you are familiar with, see the tabs up at the very top of Tom's screen there in Chrome. You can see where it says Chat and Serve, where it says some other things there, new tools, all different kinds of stuff up there. When you name your blog, a lot of times that's where that name is displayed from. So you want to make sure you don't just put something random in there. It will display typically on a tab, and that part of it is sometimes cookied as well. So, but Tom's going to go ahead and put in there. It doesn't really matter who you do as an administrative user and a first name and last name. I most of the time fill that out, but it'll be, you know, like a first name. Like if you're doing $200checks.com, in this example, we would put maybe first name $200, you know, written out, and then last name, you know, checks, you know, and that would be it. So, and then we would go ahead and hit install from that point forward, and you're going to see here in just a second that literally within seconds, your website is the WordPress will be literally installed right on your host, and from that point forward, it's going to give us a login. In which we can, and Tom's installing it right now, so you'll see here in just a minute or so that it'll give us a login to access our WordPress website, and that's really where we're going to focus majority of our time from that point forward. Other than that, there's really not a lot to do within the cPanel, but Tom, before you go over to WordPress, if you can just show them again maybe the 3 different areas within cPanel that they're going to utilize the most. So that they don't get confused with all the other buttons that are there.
All right, so we're back over on the cPanel now. And kind of the main stuff that you're going to mess with is going to be right here in the domains part, right? Right down here, where if you want to use Quick Install to install WordPress, that's probably the easiest way to do it. Most people don't mess with anything else right there. And then if you want to set up an email, you can do right there the email accounts.
Here's one thing real quick, Tom, that I want to mention before we move on, because I know you've got a lot to talk about with the website. Is when Tom talks about adding your email account to the cPanel, one of the things you guys all have to keep in mind is that a lot of people purchase their domain names from GoDaddy, from HostGator, from IC Domains. I mean, there's many different areas that people own domains from. You may not own all your domains through Ingresso Cybernetico, and that's typical, because Ingresso has IC hosting, HostWorld, and we typically, the company gives you one domain for you for free, so you could use that one if you wanted to, but you still need to add your other domains. And the way to do that, and Tom, we don't need to get in this tonight because we actually went through this before, but Tom's showing you right now on the side panel where there's actually name servers, and he's scrolling down there to show you the name servers. I don't know where they are on here, but
I'm trying to find on this one. It's different than my other account.
Look up the It should be right there somewhere. But
It says server name ing, but usually they're longer than that.
yeah, they're longer than that. Ingresso Cybernetico actually emails you the name servers, and that might be why they're not displaying on here. But just so you guys understand, if you look for the name servers, you're going to know what I'm talking about. But if you have websites like like tomhughesby.com or something, or whatever, it doesn't make any difference. If you don't actually have that as your primary domain through your hosting, then you have to go over to GoDaddy or HostGator, wherever you've got your domains, and you've got to change the default name servers. When you do that, then you come over and add your domain to your hosting, because if you try to add your domain before changing the name servers, it's going to give you an error. And I just want to make that very clear for people, because that is something that will snag, it'll snag you up there after a little while. It'll hold you up if you don't know that in advance. So just to be clear, you will get your name servers with your Ingresso Cybernetico email confirmation. So don't worry about that. Once you get your name your name server confirmations, which you'll find in your email, then you go over to GoDaddy if you've got your domains over at GoDaddy and click name servers, and you'll be able to change that. It's very, very simple to do. We've done training on this before, so you guys can go back and look at the previous training calls as well. So.
Yeah, and this being a testing account, I actually didn't get that because they set it up for me to use for training for you guys. So, but that's where usually they're going to be over here. If not, they're going to be in that email, just like Dylan said. So we can kind of just move on. I did get an email saying that is ready to go and WordPress is installed, but just to it's just going to be the same as logging into this one, right? And this is just the main $200 checks with something already. We just got the basic theme already on it. So I kind of want to show you about themes, because as Dwayne Jr. was showing, you can have different themes that look maybe nice for e-commerce and stuff like that. And for what we're doing, I don't really think you need to have live buttons hooked up to shopping carts and learn all of that right away, because most of the time the guys are just going to probably be talking to you, and you're going to give them a quote. You just want to have your prices out there, and you want to have them higher than what you're willing to take, so you can negotiate down. Is kind of what he was teaching you. So anyways, under appearance, you can go over to themes. Okay, that's where I kind of wanted to show you, because we didn't install anything fancy on this one before. We just had 2012. There's a couple other ones on there we're not using right now, but just real basic. If you remember, this is the one we used before for training with some widgets over here. Nothing fancy at all. Here's how a post looks on it right now. But I want to show you where to get some different themes, okay? And that's kind of what Dwayne Jr. was talking about. So you just type in, free WordPress themes, and you pop up WordPress.org, and you're right on your themes directory. And over here on the right, there's the most popular. So you can just kind of scroll down and look at a couple different ones. Say, for example, you wanted to look at, there's newest, there's recently updated.
Hey Tom, real quick, WordPress did an update too, and they've actually got the theme directory right in WordPress now. So if you want to click over there, show them where to find it there. It's actually much easier. I didn't realize it was there until the other day.
Where you just search right here, or are you talking?
Go ahead and click on add new, I believe. Mm-hmm. And then of course these give you all the themes now that are free. So there's featured ones, there's popular, there's latest. These are all free, folks, so you can literally just go through there, pick one that you really like, and just activate it.
Well, the one I was going to... Okay, that's just featured. That's right, popular. Let's look at that, because I had one in mind I was going to show you guys. But you get an idea kind of as we're scrolling through here, too, the different looks. Vantage looks good. You might be able to... Let's take a preview of it. Maybe it's something that looks good enough that we want to use it for a chat and serve site.
Yeah, it looks nice.
That one might work right there. So keep that in mind. What's that one called? Vantage?
Yeah.
Keep that one in mind. If we don't see nothing better, guys, we'll use that one. We got here Virtue. That's a good looking theme. But you guys can really just personalize it however you want, right? Responsive, that's good. Responsive is good. That means it's going to condense on a mobile device and look good on the different ones. Capture.
The main thing to know is that you don't have to, the whole thing is you do not have to go out there and spend a lot of money to do this. This is literally, all the stuff that we're showing you this evening is actually free. Ingresso Cyber IC hosting is literally included with your business, depending on what business center you're at. If you're at the $100 level or higher, you've got hosting. You've got many different options there, including a free domain with Ingresso Cybernetico. And you've got the chat and serve if you've been active for more than 90 days, or at least for 90 days, and you're on the $100 level. I mean, you've got access to all of this stuff right at your fingertips. So.
Yeah, it would be good to run a website to be up to the $300 level to increase your hosting capacity a little bit. But I like this one because we can put 3 packages right here, maybe have a button on there. I'm sure we control what that says and everything, right? So just let's go ahead and install this one. All you gotta do is click install right there, and it does it for you. Boom. Then you can click activate, right?
You're going to see in like 2 seconds how this transforms your actual website to make it look professional. If you guys really want to know how easy this is, I mean, it is really easy to do. You guys saw just a minute ago what Tom was showing you there, what $200 checks looks like, right? That was what it did look like. This is what it now looks like.
It automatically changes it up, and we hadn't done hardly anything to that one, and so it wasn't a clear install, but look at that now, right? So then we can start customizing it. Obviously, if you're starting from a clean install, there's nothing on it, but say we wanted to put something up here that looked really good, all right, and create an image, right? You can kind of go through the instructions for the theme, but something that has to do with, with serving people with chat and serve, and you can slide it, and I'd probably put 2 or 3 in there. A lot of them are set up to 3, easy to set up. I wouldn't leave that one in there because you don't want them to think it's too easy. You want them to think it's hard, so they pay you to do it, right? but right. I mean, you guys get the idea. And then maybe down here you can put your packages and stuff, right? What you want, package number 1, package number 2, package number 3, and then maybe instead of read more, I mean, you got pricing right in here, and it says contact me for a bid or something like that. That's what you want to do. You want to get in contact with them. And then you got the printout that Dwayne Jr. had and everything like that. But that's one free theme that you can grab right there. And that one was called Minimize right there. And then just again to kind of reiterate on what Dwayne Jr. was showing, it was Theme Forest.
Now this is my favorite. For any of you that have ever heard me train before, you guys have all heard me talk about Theme Forest on Tom and I's trainings. And I will tell you that this is basically the marketplace to get themes. You can get them anywhere between $15 for HTML themes, and you can go all the way up to $70, $80. It just depends on your budget. But typically, most on average, you're going to spend about $50, $45 to $50 for an amazing theme. And if you've never used WordPress before, don't let that intimidate you guys, because it really is pretty simple. And you're going to make mistakes. You're going to edit something. It's not going to look right. You go back, you change it back. You just make sure you always remember what you changed, so that you can change it back to whatever it was previously. So you don't have to fight with it and bang your head up against the wall because you forgot what it was that you had changed in there. So.
Yeah, and you guys, you're gonna learn and grow over the years on what you're capable of doing. It's a constant learning. Now, Dylan and I, we mastermind together all the time, and we're always learning. And I'll learn something and share it with him. He'll learn something and share it with me on how to do some fancy thing inside of WordPress, or how to take a piece of software we got and use it even better. It's just, so don't be overwhelmed if you see something that looks really nice and think you can never do it. You gotta first create it in your brain, and then you'll eventually figure out how to do it on the website. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense to you guys? I mean, you just don't let stuff scare you off. There's a ton of different themes. Here's one I use on my personal blog right there. That's kind of an advanced one. If you're a beginner, I wouldn't install that one right away. I'd work your way up to that one. But just because there's so many different things you can change, that it just is kind of a pain at first. I tell you what. But there's a Junior's is called Nash. I'll show you that one. It's a pretty good looking theme too. All right, so you get an idea what that looks like. This is a $35 theme. And that's a good looking site too. And he had the live widget right on there for chat and serve, right? It's a good looking theme. You don't have to have all these pages. You see how it just keeps scrolling all the way down? It's kind of layered just like Brooklyn, isn't it, Dylan?
Yeah, very similar. Each theme has its different functionality. A lot of them have a control panel back there for you based on the theme itself, so it really kind of gives you one central hub to change and a lot of the features and things. You just have to be familiar with a few different features within WordPress. There's a widget area. There's a pages area. There is a, then you've got your editors. There's different things. Tom's showing you actually right now. So you've got your widget area. You have, let's see, the widget area is where you control like your footers, your sidebars, all that stuff. There's many different things. So somebody had just made the comment here in chat, why is their screen so cloudy? It actually has to do a lot of times with your connection, your internet connection. So if you have a lot of things running on your computer, sometimes it takes a little while for your video to render. We're using Google Hangout or Hangout technology, so it's actually rendering on your computer there. So if you got a cloudy screen there, we do apologize, but a lot of times it has to do with your connection.
Yeah, the recorded videos, they always render in HD, so you can come back and watch those later on, but it's based on your connection. So, and then sometimes, everything kind of connecting wirelessly live throughout the internet, you're going to have some glitches. Like the other night, Dwayne was doing one, and the internet was so spotty where he was at, it basically just killed the whole thing. He had to stop and shoot a video, and I realized it took him like almost all night to get it uploaded to the internet and send back out. So I mean, stuff happens when you're dealing with that. But at least with this type of technology, you don't have to download anything to your computer, because sometimes that keeps people from being able to get on these is when they have to download a special plug-in like from Citrix or something like that, and it causes issues and clogs your computer up after a while. So definitely some advantages, but the slight disadvantage is too that sometimes it's a little bit cloudy. So anyways, that's where the widgets are. You guys will learn a lot of this stuff. There's all kinds of different training on WordPress. Almost anything you want to do with it, you can type something into YouTube and pull up a tutorial on how to do that. Another way, if you didn't want to set up your own stuff through your Ingresso hosting, he talked about Weebly, right? There's another way that he said that you could, I think I got to add another, yeah. So I logged in here the other day and just set up a free account just to kind of check it out, so I could show you guys in a training if you've never been over there, right? Well, apparently it's not wanting to log me in here. Hold on, there we go. But then you got an idea what Weebly looks like. You can kind of build websites right from here as well. So
now, what's nice about Weebly, and there's a few other ones too. There's several other ones that you can use as well, but that are actually, some of them are actually free as well. Now, you're not using Ingresso Cybernetica's hosting over at Weebly, but that doesn't matter. But WordPress is probably my favorite out of all of them, but it is very simple. These are more like a drop, an edit, drop, save editors, kind of like these kind of things. So it's really nice to have those features there. If you don't want to get, mess around with WordPress, you can do that. But Tom, you're over on your screen there, buddy. Did you want to do that?
I was just checking real quick here. Oh, someone set the name servers in for us.
Well, the name servers are different for everybody, though, so they may not be exactly the same with each person sometimes. Now, I've ran into that with other hosting providers, so I didn't want to give everybody those name servers, because they're actually going to receive them anyways through their hosting. So
that's fine. That's probably what they are. But anyways, you got you can pick site, blog, store. So say you were going to create more of a store, right? Then you can go through and pick themes on here as well. Really, I think your best bet, because you're going to have more control over it, is going to be using the Ingresso stuff, using the Ingresso hosting and getting your domain name, whether it's through Ingresso or GoDaddy, doesn't matter. But you got hosting included with your accounts, right? So why not use it? Because this stuff here, here's how Weebly makes their money, guys. You can go through and say you want to pick this one right here, right? You're pretty limited on what you can do as far as shopping cart buttons, things like that and whatnot, until you go ahead and upgrade and start paying them. And the one, if you're gonna buy a domain and connect to it, it costs more money. You're pretty soon to be able to run a functioning website with a checkout button, you're up to $25 a month, and you're already paying Ingresso that. So just use Ingresso stuff. This is the way I feel about it. You agree, Dylan?
Oh, I absolutely agree. I mean, it takes a little while to get familiar with any of the systems, regardless. I mean, you guys can see over on Weebly's to the left-hand side. I mean, you got all these different editors, different things. Let me put it this way: if you struggle or have any any challenges with technology, okay, you're going to have challenges with setting up a website. And for those people that do run into those challenges, Ingresso Cybernetico does have a solution for you coming soon. I don't know necessarily if it'll be with websites, but with the Prodigy Bar, that's the concept that's coming out here shortly. For those that do have those technical challenges, you're going to be able to plug into somebody that can actually do that for you, so that you're not basically not utilizing the products to take advantage of what it is that we offer, as a company, to go out there and market your business. So, there's many different tools and resources. You guys have YouTube for different tutorials. Nobody taught me how to do this stuff. I actually learned how to do it all myself, and I did it through trial and error, and I think Tom will agree the same thing. I mean, there's some things that, like Tom said, I taught him, that he taught me. We all have different strengths and weaknesses, but I'll just tell you this, you got to go in there and play with it and actually see exactly what you do and how it affects your website if you want to learn. If you're not going to log in and you're not going to do any of it, then of course you're not going to learn anymore. And beginners or advanced users, you have to start somewhere. Quite honestly, I would start at WordPress before I start anywhere else. I've never went anywhere else. I've always went with WordPress, because if you look at the amount of websites that are hosted on WordPress, it's a lot. And that is the technology and system that you need to get familiar with. The other thing too is, folks, is you own everything, right? You own you own the theme, you own the hosting, you own WordPress, the WordPress installation. So you have full control over that through your file manager. Okay, and we're not going to get into that tonight, but you have full control over that. If you actually build a website on Weebly and you want to transfer that somewhere, maybe you want to do something, or you want to actually go with WordPress at that point in time, you actually have to create the entire website over, because it's not user friendly when it comes to that. There's a lot of restrictions with that stuff. So just to give you feedback there, I would start with WordPress. You all get a free domain. I would pick the domain that you want to use for Ingresso Cybernetico. If you haven't set that up yet, please make sure you do that. That's a free domain. And then also, the second thing is I would actually make sure that you got your hosting set up, whether you're on the $100 plan, the $300 plan, the $500 or greater. Make sure you have all that stuff set up, because it's very, very important that you're utilizing that stuff to build your business. So, and we understand, somebody commented Weebly is not WordPress. We understand that. We're not saying Weebly is WordPress. WordPress is actually a completely separate platform, and Weebly is also a completely separate platform. So our suggestion, what we're telling you folks, is that use WordPress. I would not necessarily use Weebly.
Yeah, you can click on Heather, so since we're just talking, they can see the signing better if they want.
Sure.
But any questions you guys got? Just so you know, too, there's tons of training back there. But before Dylan and I even started training for Ingresso, there was a bunch of stuff already back there from Juan Carlos Olaya. So you could go through some of those tutorials back there as well. Add into that what we did on our first one, we talked about this stuff, and then this one, and you'll have just a ton of knowledge to get you started off on the right foot as far as setting your own website up. But any questions you got, let's get them over here in the chat box. I want to answer them tonight.
Yeah, and actually the comment was, and I may have actually read this wrong, is somebody was asking, Weebly is not WordPress ? No, it's not WordPress. I want to make that very clear, that Weebly is a completely separate service outside of WordPress. So just to be clear on that, Weebly is a completely different service.
I was talking to y'all and I was muted. Hey, thanks for the questions. Keep them coming here. It's about 9:35 right now, so we'll stay on here a little bit longer, answer any questions you got. I hope that kind of covers the basics. Obviously, when it comes down to design work and things like that, Fiverr is a good site to use, that you can get some nice looking basic type graphics done if you want. You can pull up a site like PhotoMonkey and make some halfway decent looking stuff yourself. Just try and make sure that you have the license for whatever image you're going to use, so you don't start getting emails later on. I learned that when I was kind of a beginner at this, and I basically just grabbed some images off the internet without checking copyrights, and I started getting nasty emails from whoever owned it. So just make sure you cover your tracks that way, okay? Do you
Yeah,
ever
I mean
get
we
any of
all.
those?
No, I've never gotten any of those, but no, you're right. I mean, you want to make sure that was something that just got brought up recently, though. That was a question that somebody asked me just recently about something that we were building or something we were creating, and they said, do we own the rights to those pictures? I'm like, well, they're royalty free. So you would just want to make sure you use royalty free pictures. Even if you get them out there on Google, that doesn't mean that they're royalty free. So you got to just be careful with that.
Yeah, almost every picture you can imagine is going to be on Google, and most of them are tied back to somebody. So there's a way of doing in the search, and you can pick something that's royalty free. The best way is to take your own pictures, right, and then just kind of edit them or pay somebody to do something up for you. But what got me is because at one point in time when I was really getting into blogging, I paid somebody to do some blog posts for me, right, while I was out doing something else, and the pictures they used were copyrighted to a certain company or something. So you got to watch even if you pay somebody to do something that you got your tracks covered on that. So yeah, so now
Absolutely.
I like to try and use some high quality images that are definitely public domain type usage rights.
Yeah, and you can actually go out to Shutterstock, and there's many different other ones that they're not cheap. I can tell you that right up front. They're not cheap, but you can get royalty-free pictures there as well. And there's many different free websites as well that you can go get some high definition pictures. So let's see. So there's somebody said I'm not able to access my cPanel. Please send a ticket into support so that they can look into that for you. If you have set that up, then and you've got the access to that, please again send a ticket into support, or actually contact the local chat or the live chat agent over at aggressivecybernetico.com there, and they can help you and assist
Yeah.
you get that set up and straightened out.
Hey, just so
Um,
you know, if it is set up correctly, I've seen on some browsers if you go to it, so it's going to be whatever your domain name is, right? So if it's a .com // and then cPanel, and then it goes to an. Sometimes it'll go depending on the browser. Now it'll go to an air screen. Just go to it anyways. Click the little button that pushes you on through to it. So if that's the only issue you were having, that would fix that. But if it's just not pulling up anything at all, then definitely get with a live chat agent or support as needed.
Absolutely. And then the next one here is Google loves WordPress. They absolutely do, which is another reason why I would use WordPress. And the person wrote here, think of what you want, get a WordPress template that looks close to what it is that you're thinking about, then use YouTube to help you along the way. And absolutely, I totally agree with that. Just to edify you, I really do agree to that. I mean, WordPress is the way to go in my opinion, and use IC's hosting, because obviously you don't want to pay for any additional hosting. Hosting on by itself costs usually about $10 to $15 a month. We have that as part of our Aggressive Cybernetico business, so definitely make sure you're utilizing that. It'll save you money. All right. Once also, and this somebody said, once we choose a domain, can we change the domain? You can change the domain, however, you have to buy a new domain. You can never change the domain once you buy it. Like if you buy it, you buy it for a year typically, or a year to two. So it depends on how many years you bought it, but you own it for that period of time. So one of the things I would say is if you're, and the other issue that you're going to have is if you're changing a domain, you actually have to change everything. You actually have to you have to have your website completely moved over to that domain, which is not something I recommend that you try or attempt. Pick a domain and stick with it for this particular website, but it can be done.
Yeah, someone was asking step one, step two, step three, so we'll back up. It's in our other video, but just real quick, if you haven't seen that one, in your back office where you can pick your own domain, you're going to go there first and pick your domain name, right? And you're going to go over your hosting, and it's going to give you different options. Say if you own 5 of the 6 business centers, right? You can pick hosting package equal to any one of those 5. So obviously you want to pick the highest hosting package and then set that up, and they're going to email you the stuff for that, so you can go ahead and set it up. And typically your domain will already be set up on there for you. But and then the rest you can kind of rewatch this video here and watch our other training. And in your back office, there's tons of WordPress training as well, so that'll get you going the right foot.
Somebody said also. Somebody said confused. Where do I start? And I think you've already answered that question, so we'll work off that one there. But not pulling anything. We'll speak with online chat. Okay, perfect. So yeah, if your hosting's not coming up, contact live chat, make sure you ask them right now. If they're not available, just you'll find them when they're available. They're online, or you can leave them a message and they'll contact you back. But they'll get that straightened out for you as quickly as possible. So, how do we add our digital products with the sales page to our website? Well, what you're going to do is you're not going to actually create a website for your digital products unless you're going to sell them like on banners or things like that. If you're going to sell a digital product and you want to actually have it on a specific domain, then you're actually just going to forward your domain with masking to your digital product URL. All right, that's a completely separate training. We're not going to go through that tonight, but we have done training on that in the previous. So just go out to your back office in Ingresso Cybernetico, look at the different recorded webinars, videos. If you can't find it there, then go over to the YouTube channel. Look up Dwayne Golden's YouTube channel, and you'll actually see all of the previous old training videos that we've done in the past over there on that channel. Everything now is really kind of getting centralized to Ingresso Cybernetico's official YouTube channel, but all of our older videos though are over there. So check those out. There's many different ways. There's so many different videos on how to do all that stuff. So you guys just have to go out there and look for those videos and take the time to really kind of watch some of the videos and learn. So I don't see any other chat. I don't see any other messages. So if anybody has any other questions whatsoever, please type them in the chat box. We'll stay around for another 2 minutes, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up for the evening. But thank you all so much for your participation as always. Tom, great job, great training. I think it's incredible that this is really the stepping stone, the stepping block to really get your business going, at least on the internet, when it comes to you branding yourself, offering a service to other people. The opportunities or the possibilities are endless once you get a website going. Like Tom was saying, we're not going to show you how to integrate a shopping cart and all that stuff, but there's literally plugins out there that you can install. WordPress works off plugins when it comes to functionality. And you can find plugins for just about everything out there on the internet. If you need to use a shopping cart, there's tons of different options. And all you do a lot of times is download a zip file, upload it over to your plugins, activate it, and you are basically off to the races when it comes to being able to accept credit cards and things on your website through PayPal. It's really incredible, folks. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities there for you. Just, find your vision, figure out what it is that you want to create first. You got to have a vision of what you want to create, and then go for it on the internet. And that's going to evolve over and be created into something pretty incredible over time. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, having a plan in place on what you want. What do you want it to look like when you're done? What do you want the function to be? What do you want? What purpose do you want your website to serve? And if you're building Ingresso Cybernetico as a business, right? You don't even need to do none of this. This is all stuff that you can do extra for selling chat and serve in that part of the business. But if you're just going, you don't pause and think you have to understand every single thing to go out and build your Ingresso Cybernetico business. So you don't have to do that. I mean, you can hop on Facebook and go out and start doing your prospecting and building your business that way. At the same time, maybe you spend an hour a day on building up this type of stuff. Maybe you spend 2 hours a day, or just like Dwayne Jr. said in the chat and serve training, maybe you set aside 4 hours on this day and another 4 hours on this day to build your chat and serve business. So we're just wanting to show you how to build a website, and the idea behind it was if you were going to set up and sell that chat service to businesses to make an extra couple grand a month that way.
Yep, and then the last thing too I want to answer real quick before we wrap this up is somebody asked, so you said you cannot change your domain name, but can you redirect it to another name? You can, as long as you're not hosting both domains. So if you've got both domains hosted, you cannot forward, without issues, you cannot forward one hosted domain to another hosted domain without issues. It just won't happen. You've actually got to uninstall WordPress on that domain that you want to forward to, and then once you do that, you got to change your name servers and all that other stuff back, depending on how you're going to set it up. But yes, you can do that. It's a little bit more of advanced stuff, but once you install a website on your domain, you cannot forward it a lot of times to another domain. You can in some instances, but I would tell you this. I've never ran into a very smooth transition when that happens. Typically, there's going to be issues. So I would recommend just deleting the hosted website, take your domain, and so nothing's hosted on it at that point, and then forward it through your actual domain provider. Because remember, you're not forwarding a lot of times through your hosting sometimes. You can in some instances, but for the most part, you're going to do it over, if you own the domain through GoDaddy, you're going to do it over at GoDaddy.
So, yeah, if it's a generic sounding type of name that you're okay using, just create a subdomain off that, and you can forward off that all day long. Right. So if you got you know, SusiesWebsite.com or just whatever, for example, name, right? And that's your website, but you want to have some quick links to get to some of the products. So you could have SusiesWebsite.com / Facebook training or something like that, and then it forwards to one of the Facebook digital products or something like that, or all about WordPress is the subdomain, or just WP even, whatever you want, and then you control that in your cPanel, and then there's a place where you can put in whatever you can put in your sales page that you want it to forward to. So that's definitely one way of doing it as well. Plus, there's a plugin, right on your site called PrettyLink that you can do the same thing with. Makes it a whole lot easier. You don't have to go to cPanel for it at all.
Absolutely, and I know that may have went over a lot of people's heads with everything that we just discussed here, but just understand that's really kind of more advanced stuff. Once you set up a domain, you're going to typically stick with that domain at hosting. If you want to forward a domain, typically you're not going to install a website and then decide to forward it later. So just to give everybody the feedback there, because as we were talking about that, I was thinking in my head like how you do that as well, and I'm pretty experienced with this stuff, and it was starting to get me a little confused as well. So as we were all talking, so not what you were talking about there, Tom. But the last question too, I want to address real quick before we close this out, is you said that we have to be active for 90 days in order to sell Chat and Serve. No, not to sell Chat and Serve, to actually have access to Chat and Serve as a product. Now remember, we're talking about selling Chat and Serve as a feature, not as a product, as a service, right? You actually have to own Chat and Serve in order to sell it as a service. So when when we talk about you being active within, to have access to Chat and Serve, you got to be active for at least 90 days and be at the $100 level. So you're not going to go out there and create a website to offer a service related to Chat and Serve unless you own the product. I would hope not, anyways.
Yeah, so I mean, just look in your back office if you got access to it, and then you can go ahead and start playing around with it, go through our trainings and things like that. I could show you real quick how to do the subdomain forward, and take me like 3 minutes to show you guys if you want to see it real quick.
Go ahead, Tom, if you want to do that. But we're closing in almost an hour, so I want to definitely wrap it up here in a second. But go ahead.
This will be the last thing here, right? So I'll start back from home, and there's a couple of different ways, but the PrettyLink is the way I prefer to do it, so I don't have to go into this part of it. But say you never did set up a website on your deal, and you wanted to just go into redirects, right? And then you can click down that you can make it either permanent or temporary right here, and then you can click whatever one you want it on. So if I wanted it off of $200checks.com, right, then I could put in I'm not actually going to click add on this, all right, because I don't really want to put anything on here, but maybe the page I was going to send it to was, it's just whatever product website. So I'd do HTTP.
Now here's the only issue I have with doing it this way is that you're only doing a redirect. You're not doing it with masking. So people can see at the very top, right? So if you type in, if somebody wants to go to $200checks.com and you want it to just go to a different destination, what happens is sometimes your end user, your customer, will get confused because they're going to type in $200checks.com if you do it this way, and it'll take them over to whatever you're redirecting them to, and then they're going to look on the website and say, I wanted to go to $200checks.com. And then they're going to keep going back and forth, back and forth. Then you're going to get a support ticket to somebody saying, hey, this was supposed to go to here. I'm trying to access your website. So it just opens yourself up. I personally would do it. I've done it many different ways, and like Tom was just showing you there, that is a way to do it as far as redirection. But that's a temporary solution to if you're going to do it, I would do it permanently if that's what you're looking to do.
Yeah, I would do PrettyLink. There's a PrettyLink Lite that's free. There's a paid version that's one time like $100. I think you can put it on more than one site, and that forwards and masks or I use GoDaddy for a lot of my stuff since before I was with Ingresso, and it's pretty easy to go inside of there and forward and mask as well, right there with in their service. So
Yep,
it's just
absolutely.
hard from the cPanel. It's not really an option.
Yep. So somebody said, can you send me the link? Can you send us the link for Dwayne Jr.'s chat and serve, folks? It's actually over there on YouTube right now. So if you I don't know, Tom, if you have access to that link right just yet, but folks, you can go right out to YouTube and find. Let me see if I can. It may be in the back office of Address Cybernetico too.
I'm looking real quick, so you can see. Maybe take one more question while I'm looking for you.
Well, that's it, my friend. So we're good.
I don't know if it's on the Chat and Serve channel or his channel. I don't know who started it I think Senior started the webinar, didn't he?
I think it's over on Aggresso Cybernetico. But folks, we'll actually ask the company to send it out to you in an email.
Actually, they did like 2 days ago. In the last few days, they've sent that out, unless you just joined. But
did they? Okay.
Actually, that's probably the quickest way for me to find it. Just go to my email.
So we'll find that for you here in just a second. We'll go ahead and wrap this up. But everything that the company does, folks, is either out on YouTube or in the back office of your Aggresso Cybernetico website, or the company a lot of times will send it out to you in an email with everything as far as updates, links to register for things, and also links for replays as well. So just make sure you know where to find that kind of stuff, because that really truly is important to help you.
I don't know if you guys can copy that thing because it kind of jumbled it up a little bit, but
yeah, I would have just put the link in there if you could, but
well, that's to all of them. That's right out of the email. That's the last 4.
Okay, so folks, we're going to end the webinar here, but the chat feature should still be available over there on your live screen. So go ahead and copy those down. Make sure you make note of those, or copy and paste them over on your browser or in another form there, so you have access to those. But that's pretty much it for the evening. We'll go ahead and wrap this up. Folks, have a wonderful evening. Look forward to seeing all of you that are new over at the new members orientation tomorrow night at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We also have a webinar tomorrow. Let's see. Well, tomorrow at 7 o'clock for new member orientation. Then we also have a webinar on Thursday night at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and then a business opportunity webinar at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So there's many different webinars going on. So make sure you plug into those. And we look forward to seeing you on the next webinar here in the next few days. So thank you all so much for your participation. Tom, you can go ahead and close us out. Heather, thank you as well for your service as well. Thank you.
Yeah, hey everybody, just real excited to have you out here. And Thursday nights, the one at 9 o'clock is kind of an open Q&A. I'll have a couple things planned in case I'm not getting a whole lot of questions. But if you're stuck on something related to Aggresso Cybernetico, let's talk about it. So we'll see you then. Have a great night.
Thanks, everyone.